1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Eins, zwei, eins, zwei.
Kein Sound. All right, welcome to TX 2019. So let's try this again. This was a little bit embarrassing. This is not a Christmas party at Ringier. So ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have free food today. You're going to have free speeches today. There's going to be tons of speakers. You don't have to work all day long. So please make some noise for TX 2019. Calm down, it's just a conference. It's not. It's the 5th time we're going to have this amazing event. It's one of the largest digital conferences in Switzerland. I have no idea if this is true, but Thomas told me to say so. We have 600 internal speakers there today, and only 10 of them are not from Tamedia, and this is an actual photo from last year's TX. And this is actually Thomas Gresh giving his welcome speech. Look at those excited faces. Now, this is the first year that we're going to have marketing, product, and technology do this thing together. That's going to be amazing. We're really excited. This is how our management at Tamedia reacted when they heard about this thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's tech, marketing, product, 3 silos. You know, they're side by side, but we should be hand in hand. There's also the guys from business, but who cares? Now, you know how this thing usually works. You know, marketing, for example, says, hey, guys, you know, we got to sell stuff. Marketing likes to sell stuff. So they say, hey, guys, you know, we got to have a better landing page. They go to product. They say, hey, could you come up with something really good for us, something that converts? Then product usually takes like 2-3 months to come up with the perfect solution. So they decide, hey, let's develop a new registration process. And then another like 2-3 years later, they go to tech, say, hey, here's the solution, please do it. And then tech says, well, it's got to be in our sprint. I hate those sprints. At some point, they put it in their sprint, and then you know what's happening? The CTO deploys something else. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if these things happen, and you all know it from your experience, worse things are going to happen. It really looks horrible, the result. This is one example. So this year, we're trying to break those silos. We're trying to be together here. Of course, we could have invited the guys from business, but they usually just break stuff. So Tamedia Exchange, that's what we're going to call it, not Technology Exchange anymore. And this is super important because since it's not only technology anymore, it also means less speak time for Thomas. Now, what about these 10 people here? I strongly suggest you're going to write a nice email to career@tamedia.ch. Yeah, I was expecting some applause. Still embarrassing. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have free barbecue. There's going to be tons of cat pictures. Make some noise for TX 2019, please. All right. So this is about the minimum level of noise I want to hear after every talk. All right? So last year has already been a huge success. From a product perspective, from my perspective, there were 2 things I really want to point out. One is the introduction of the Grumpy Cat meeting room at Car4You. The second is definitely the Asia Bowl weeks at Verdino. Now, in 2018, we tracked happiness, and this is super complicated. Now, please pay attention. Most of you will not comprehend it, especially if you're the head of M&A. So what we did is, we tracked happiness over all the year. We asked every employee at Tamedia. You might have not been there on that day, but we did actually. This is the result. It's the actual result. You see in the middle of the year this huge spike. This, of course, is TX 2018. You see these other spikes here. They're significant. People were really happy. You're wondering, what is this? This was clearly when Christoph Brandt was on holiday. Now you're wondering, 4 times a year holiday, that's a lot. I'm not even counting the business trips. But ladies and gentlemen, a conference comes at a great cost. You have to spend useless marketing money. You have to invite people you rather wouldn't. So please give a warm welcome to Sarah from marketing.
Thanks a lot, Robin, for this great introduction. You know that marketing costs are higher when the product doesn't fly, right? Welcome to everyone here today. Welcome to the people at Kraftwerk and thanks a lot for being with us today. A lot happened since last year, TX, so let's have a quick and non-exhaustive review. We tackled a completely new industry, fintech, and invested into several early-stage startups, Monito, Like, Neon, and all of them are still alive and doing well. Please try their products out. 600 more users in one day is a lot for a startup, but don't click on any Google ad before you do any conversion. Together with our partner AXA, we launched a completely new company from scratch. Oh, sorry, wrong slide. That's better. Car for you. And as we shared our knowledge and experiences with them, in addition to that, AXA shared their money with us. Yeah. Well, our lately introduced ERP system doesn't seem to work perfectly yet, but this one does, despite its terrible name. And I think, sorry, I think that this company clearly needs some branding advice. Well, last year we had boring black hoodies. This year we have colorful, cheaper socks. And we did also a great job on diversity. Sorry, wrong slide. I'm joking. More seriously, after last year's conference, it was very important to all of us to drastically increase the amount of female speakers. To drastically increase the amount of female speakers. We have 6 times more women on the stage today, and not all of them are working for marketing. We are also thrilled to have Francesca here today. She's the CTO of the city of Barcelona and will give the keynote. So let's have a closer look at some of this year's talks. We're going to learn how to catch jaguars and what this process has to do with UX processes. We'll find out how MacGyver would run a marketing campaign with a very low budget. We'll discover why joint ventures are like reality TV shows. And we'll learn about how to build a space kingdom with Russian oil money. We will also have the opportunity to learn everything we always wanted to know about neural networks and statistical physics. I couldn't find a GIF to show that, so it's a cat. You'll find all the information about the schedule on the tx.tamedia.ch. This is the official hashtag. You know we're digital. Since last week, we have an Instagram account. We are Tamedia. Don't be afraid to make some noise on social media. Today's about breaking the silos, right? Stay curious. You'll have the opportunity to learn about things outside of your usual work field, for example, about marketing. And we will have speakers from Google, Evernote, the University of St. Gallen, and even an Ukrainian NGO. But most importantly, we'll have more than 30 speakers from companies within the Tamedia group sharing their experiences with us today. Thanks to all of you. But ladies and gentlemen, what would a digital conference be without technology? Well, understandable. So please give a warm welcome to Thomas Grech, our CTO and the founder of the TX conference.
I guess I'm going to figure out how this works. So, thanks a lot for the warm welcome, Sarah. Now, as marketing and product are generally not very good at explaining complicated things, they left that to me. So, the toilets of the conference are just around this corner here, and then to your right, and then again to your right. With 600 people attending the conference, we totally blasted the capacity limits of this room and of all the other rooms at Wertstrasse. I mean, standing up here looking at this conference, Jesus Christ, that's huge. I'm going to have to take a picture of that afterwards. But we also had to expand across the river to Kraftwerk. So when you have to cross between the stages, that's our 4 stages of today, please don't swim, but take one of the 2 bridges that cross the river up here and up here. So we have Verdino, we have Plenum, we have Presseclub and Kraftwerk on the other side. We have great signage out that will help you find the way. But let's talk about food. That was really quite complicated to organize this year because of clicking. Like product, they wanted these beautiful samosas hand-rolled from Varanasi. You can imagine what marketing wanted. And engineering was busy trying to upgrade the firmware of the hot dog drones, and somehow we're still working on fine-tuning. We believe for next year the drones will be ready. So we settled with what we know best. Dennis and his team will provide us today with food and drinks. Food is this year offered by Tamedia throughout the whole day, also lunch. And please visit the cashier once you grabbed your menu and you're going to pay with your badge. That's important for the whole bookkeeping process. Don't just walk out on the food situation. So then please use these takeaway boxes that we have in the Verdino. You can choose from menu 1, menu 2, and the salad bar. And then you can either eat inside here in the Verdino or also go outside. Again, we have a lovely day at TX this year. The Feuer und Flamme menu is not included in the whole offering, and the water in the cups is, of course, for free. If you want to have some PET bottles, please pay them at the cashier. Then pay a lot of respect to all the other people working at Wertstrasse, because we're going to be such a huge crowd that they also can grab some food. So respect their lunch times as well. The whole food will be offered between 11:30 and 1:30, so you have plenty of time to eat. Self-service zone back there is business as usual. Please pay for your consumption. And after the keynote of Francesca, TX will split up again into the several tracks. This year we're going to have 4 of them, and we're going to meet right here back at 5:30 for the Getting Higher at Tamedia talk, the infamous talk of Robin. And after that, Harry will give us an introduction to the TX Academy and the closing words. And at 6 o'clock, we're going to have the barbecue also again here in the Verdino, because the terrace didn't have enough capacity anymore to hold everybody. But now let's get to the serious topic about you. That's why we're doing this conference. We hope you get a lot of inspiration from today's talks. You get to know many people from adjacent fields within Tamedia, and you have a great day. So when I look at this audience, I see that we really follow the rules of hiring. You should always hire people that are better than yourself, because we all know that A people hire A people, and I see a lot of A's in here. The backside of that is that B people hire C people, and Christoph Brandt hired Sarah Safri. So thanks to the organizers of this year's TX. This year's TX was organized by Elena, Martina, Christine, Timo, Eddie, and Harry. A huge round of applause. So, with this, I would like to say welcome to TX 2019, and it's my honor to give the word to Mr. Pietro Supino, our chairman of the board of directors of Tamedia. Have a great day.
Good morning, everybody. I think there is something missing. Now I'm on. Good morning, everybody. I've been looking forward to Tamedia Exchange. It's quite difficult for me after this show to add anything to the table. The question is whether this playful teasing between technology, product, and marketing is to be taken as something positive. I think so. I'm convinced that that constructive tensions create value, while obviously we have to avoid unnecessary friction. And this is exactly the goal of the reorganization of the group that we announced 2 weeks ago. By giving more autonomy to the subgroups, we want to reduce complexity in the subgroups. We want to allow for more creativity. We want to have more focus, and ultimately the goal is more growth. At the same time, we want to keep the advantages that only a bigger group can offer, and I think that Tamedia Exchange is the best example for it. So I want to thank Thomas for his initiative, all the team for making it possible, and all of you for taking time to attend. And now I'm looking forward to TX 2019 together with all of you. Thank you.
Yeah, so let's get started. She's the CTO of the city of Barcelona, 1.6 million inhabitants. She will talk today about smart cities and citizens' data sovereignty. Please give a warm welcome to Francesca Bria. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here in Zurich. And we moved to Barcelona, I think. No, we don't move to Barcelona. Okay. This will take a bit of time.
1 second, yes, sorry.
That was marketing. That one. First. And full screen, please. Oops. Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
I work for marketing.
and now it doesn't really work, so I think I will have to do it from here.
That's tech.
Yeah, it's tech, the engineers, oh my God. Okay, it's great to be here in sunny Zurich, actually. We brought some sun and it's really hot, so it looks like Barcelona at the moment. So I hope I'm here to tell a story about what we're doing in Barcelona and why I think cities are really an exciting place for the digital revolution, and why a lot of people now working in tech will bet that digitalization will start from cities, where people are, where people live their life, and where it's really important to make sure that technology will serve its citizens and their needs. So I'm not Catalan, disclosure, I'm Italian, and, but I'm the only foreigner in the Catalan government, and I was called by our mayor, Ada Colau, to basically transform Barcelona into a future digital city. And we are trying to make it like a laboratory for a sustainable and democratic future, which is a really exciting job. So I was appointed as CTO of Barcelona, Chief Digital Innovation Officer, and now more and more cities are appointing this new role in government, which is about putting together, not really marketing, tech, and engineering, but all the different departments of the city hall to work together, digitalize the city, and make sure that cities are an ecosystem or can become a real ecosystem for digital innovation. So this is the Barcelona City Digital Plan, and so my job is really to do digital transformation, which means to make government more open, more collaborative, more digital, more interacting with citizens in an easy way, to do agile development and to transform government for the better, and to develop a city data infrastructure on top of which we can build all data-driven, exciting services of the future. I'm also in charge of digital innovation, which means how we build a tech ecosystem, how we work with startups, how we create a digital hub in Barcelona. If you've been there, you know what I mean. It's a vibrant city where a lot of people and a lot of tech people want to go there, of course, for the sea and the sun, but also for the technology ecosystem. And then digital empowerment, which means how we do digital skills, digital education, and digital democracy. So this is Ada Colau. She's the mayor of Barcelona, and she has been defined by The Guardian the most radical mayor in the world. And this is why she comes from a bottom-up citizen movement. She's the first female mayor of Barcelona. She's an ecologist, she's a feminist, and she was really elected to government to bring people inside the institution. So her motto was like, democratize Barcelona and make sure that the collective intelligence of citizens can be integrated into the decision-making process. So what we've done with our smart city is we didn't think that the smart city is, maybe that came from marketing of the big tech vendors, which started to pitch the smart city as the next big thing. But we couldn't go out the street, out the city hall, and explain to citizens what is a smart city. So if you go outside here, maybe in this crowd, you know what it is, but if you walk outside and you talk to your citizens and you say, we're building a smart city, what it is, they wouldn't know. So we wanted to move away from a technology-driven approach of the smart city, starting from connectivity, sensors, big data, the blockchain, or the new tech thing. And we wanted to move from a top-down, tech-driven vision of the smart city to a bottom-up, citizen-first vision. So what we've done is we started with the real problems that the cities have. In the case of Barcelona is affordable housing. I think also in Zurich, I've heard this is becoming a really big thing. Of course, healthcare, sustainable mobility, and the energy transition, how to fight climate change and how to make our cities greener and more sustainable, creating more green spaces, and a more participatory democracy. So not technology-driven, but start with the real issues, the real environmental and social problems that the cities are try to tackle, and then only after we ask, how can technology, data, help us to solve those problems, because otherwise we end up in technological solutionism and we don't know what problem. Actually, we end up solving technology problems instead of the real challenges of our times. So what we've done in Barcelona to make this vision a reality is building a collective intelligence for democracy. So 400,000 citizens participated into shaping the agenda of the city of Barcelona, and 70% of the proposals, which is our action plan today in government, was defined directly from citizens. I don't know if we have anybody in the audience from the city of Zurich, but I think this is a pretty extraordinary process, because usually the city plan is made by bureaucrats in a closed room. There is very little interaction with the citizens, and we managed to do this kind of hybrid process of online democracy and offline democracy, neighborhood by neighborhood, involving people. It took us 1 year, and now citizens are involved into taking on the different services that we are developing for the city of Barcelona. One of the projects that has been very famous, if you Google Barcelona Superblock or Superilla in the newspaper as well, is our big plan to fight climate change. So we know we are in a climate emergency, and what we've done to block CO2 emission, we want to drastically reduce it 40% in the city of Barcelona, is to close off 12 districts of the city to traffic. In this way, we've recuperated 60% of public space, and we turned this public space into green citizen spaces. So we worked with urbanists, with designers, with architects and residents, and we redefined the use of this space. So now if you go here, like there is a super block, for instance, in Barcelona at 22. If you've been to Barcelona, this is the tech city space. And this super block now, you have kindergarten, you have local businesses, you have lots of green, 400 hectares of new green in Barcelona, 300 kilometers of new bicycle lanes for bicycle. So we're turning it into a green, sustainable city. Another, I think, very exciting project is the Barcelona renewable energy suppliers. So Europe has a big plan of transitioning towards renewable energy to make it energy transition more sustainable and to have energy sovereignty. So Barcelona created a municipal operator for clean energy. It's only solar energy, and all the public building receives clean solar energy from this operator. And now we have a pilot of 22,000 particular homes. And we have a digital grid, so we are experimenting with decentralized digital grid production of energy with peer-to-peer, so the cooperatives or citizens themselves can produce the energy, it goes into the grid, and we're using decentralized ledger like a blockchain to measure what kind of energy we spend. In order to create this kind of big project at city scales, we had to change government inside, and I'm sure you know how difficult that is. So we put forward an agile, open source digital transformation of the city government of Barcelona. And we firstly wanted to eliminate corruption to make sure that citizens see what we're doing. We publish everything in open data. You can see how we spend our budget. But we also wanted to make government better into delivering digital services. So we created an agile transformation team inside the 300 people tech company of the city of Barcelona. And now we're doing much more agile service delivery. And we're also using 80% of our IT budget in open source and free software whenever it's possible. We're using open interfaces, open API, and open standards, and interoperable service. And I tell you what, I mean, this looks a bit boring, maybe if you don't work in government, but if you use open licensing and open source software and you develop a service in Barcelona, this can be reused by many other cities, like Zurich itself. And one thing we've done, that was about procurement. Procurement, another non-sexy word, but this is what governments do. Basically, governments spend your money, citizen money, to create better services and deliver better things, better products. And what we've done is we created technology clauses in our procurement standards. So, for instance, now the data that all the providers collect when they run a service in Barcelona gets transferred back to the city hall in machine-readable format. So this data become a common good that is owned by the citizens of Barcelona. I think when you see what it means to transform governments to make digital services and to digitalize all the internal processes, but also how do you make a city smarter, the core of this is data. And I think we are asking a very big question in Barcelona, which is, will data in the future be controlled by big business, which is mainly some US companies in Silicon Valley or the Chinese tech giants, by the state, and I think many people don't feel very comfortable about that, or by citizens themselves? And in Barcelona, we are trying to rethink, what is the business model of the digital society? And at the moment, we see that, of course, data is the raw material of the 21st century, and it's becoming more and more a big political question. Like, this is Angela Merkel last year in Davos, and she said, who owns the data will decide at the end whether a democracy, a participatory social model, and economic prosperity can be combined. Meaning, who has the power over data and artificial intelligence will be able to control the future of the world. So it's a very important question. And at the moment, the situation with data is that it is controlled by a handful of big companies. And these are mainly exactly the big US companies or Chinese companies. And some people are very concerned, of course, about surveillance. And this is Susanna Julbov from Harvard Business School, a friend of mine. And she wrote a book, I think you should read it if you work in tech. It's called Surveillance Capitalism. And she says that under surveillance capitalism, you are not the customer or even the product. You are becoming the raw material, meaning us with our data that we continuously hand over to all the tech companies. So what we've done in Barcelona from the ground up, from cities, is proposing a new deal on data and give back data sovereignty and data control to you, to the citizens, to the individual. So we put forward a very ambitious data strategy that has privacy, security, and ethical use of data at the very core, and we're creating a data infrastructure at city scale with open standards and open API. And we also put forward a framework to assess automated decision systems, or so-called artificial intelligence, and ensures accountability so that cities can become new custodians of the digital rights of its citizens. As I told before, there is a lot you can do with data to make governments, institutions, organizations better. So like the open data portal, the open budget. So if you now go on the portal of the City of Barcelona, you see our salary, how we spend the money, in what we invest, how we allocate resources, but also anti-corruption. So we have been pioneering an infrastructure, it's called Bustia Etica, it's based on Tor, who works on security. It's a cryptographic protocol that enables you to file questions of corruption, keeping your anonymity. It's the same technology that's used by WikiLeaks, and we use it for city administration people or citizens that can file cases of corruption. And then we have a committee that acts on them. We also have an Internet of Things platform in Barcelona, and this is called Sentillo. It's open standards, so it has been reused now in Dubai, in Helsinki. Other cities are picking up and just deploy this infrastructure. And we use it to monitor the city in real time, remotely. So we're doing lots of tests on energy monitoring, noise monitoring, the water management, so that we can recuperate lots of money in managing the water more efficiently. We have an urban lab, so the IoT infrastructure can be opened up to startups and SMEs that can test their new products. We're doing it garbage collection, so that you can see what you collect, and you can divide the different things, and you can have a much more efficient transportation system. And we have parking slots that are allocated based on the needs. On top of this IoT platform, we have a data lake where we standardize the ontology, so we can describe what data we get, data from things, data from infrastructure, data from people, and the open data of the city. And on top of that, we can create machine learning and artificial intelligence algorithms so that we can take better decisions using data. So this is the infrastructure of the city, but in order to do that, we had to create a mayor's office for data analytics. So I appointed the first chief data officer of all of Spain, but it's actually the first chief data officer of Southern Europe in a city. And now we have an office of 40 people that work on machine learning, data science, and of course we are collaborating with university and research centers to get the talent that we need and help the cities to analyze this data and take really concrete decisions that are able to improve our city on a daily basis. And we are mandating also for data and algorithmic transparency, because we don't want big black boxes, so we don't know what goes in and out, and we can't regulate it, and we can't take better decisions. Based on this kind of data, we're also experimenting on the future of data that is less centralized and more decentralized, giving back the control to the citizens. So Barcelona is running a flagship project funded by the European Commission of about 5 million at the moment. And we developed a decentralized distributed ledger, or so-called blockchain, with cryptographic protocols, made it easy, that enable citizens to control their data. So it's the citizen that decide what data they want to keep private, what data they want to share, with whom, and what is the terms for sharing and accessing the data. So this is a kind of new pact on data, but also it's granular access control of data, what we call data entitlement. And now we're able to integrate this blockchain infrastructure with cryptography. Cryptography, we think it's a human right in the digital society, so you should be able to be security, privacy, and ethics by design in the way you use your services so that you can control better your data. And now, for instance, we are able to integrate the decode infrastructure, the blockchain, into the way we share sensor data. So we are working with citizen groups that put Arduino boxes in their homes, very low-tech open hardware, to measure CO2 emissions and measure noise in the street, so that they could tell the city, this is not working, this is what you should do. And now the citizens group are able to share sensor data about climate or environmental things in a secure way. And they decide with whom they want to share the data. Maybe you want to share the data with your community and with the city so that you can improve transport, but maybe you don't want to give this data to an insurance company or an advertising firm, or maybe you don't want to give it to Uber. So this is our plan, and this is what we're doing. We are creating a data commons, data as infrastructure, data as public infrastructure owned by all the citizens, and then we open up this data, and on top of this data we call SMEs, startups, innovators, cooperatives, citizens themselves, data journalists that can use this data to develop future data-driven and artificial intelligence-driven application in healthcare, education, mobility, and so on. And I think this becomes a collective resource that can empower a lot of urban innovation in cities, and also a lot of the tech ecosystem, and attract talents to work on that. So we are doing all of this infrastructure and digitalization processes also to create more economic development and more innovation. So this is exactly where the startups are in Barcelona. This is Barcelona Tech City, is in Ciudad Vella on the sea. You can see why all the people now doing Brexit, a lot of technology companies want to move to Barcelona. You're also welcome to come. I don't want to steal all the tech talent from Zurich, but definitely a very nice place to be. And we have now hundreds of thousands of startups that are working to create better products. What we're doing is also how we can bring together the tech talent with the city and the small companies with the big companies. So we created the Urban Innovation Lab. It's a physical space in Barcelona. It used to be, you can see it here, it used to be a big textile factory. And now it's an Urban Innovation Lab where SMEs that have a good idea, or startups, or companies can go there, and we match them with city problems. So we say we have problems in mobility, in affordable housing, we want to solve this particular thing in the city, and then the big tech companies can fund the challenge, and the startup can work together with the city to solve a specific problem. And this is now very successful, also because cities are collaborating with each other. So we launched an affordable housing challenge with the city of New York, and now the startup that won the challenge can build the solution in Barcelona and New York at the same time. And now we're doing the same with Berlin, with Amsterdam, and other cities, so you can create a global marketplace for solutions that really respond to concrete city needs. And we're also sharing data, so you can have access to valuable data to build your products, which we think is very important. We are also experimenting with the fourth industrial revolution, or so-called the automation revolution. And what we're doing is we created a part of the city that's called the Maker District. So we're bringing together the big companies that develop fourth industrial revolution technology or automation technology for manufacturing with the makers movement. So there are maker places and what we call the new digital artisans of our times. And they have 3D printers, printing, open laser facilities, all these facilities that are open to citizens. And you can enter there and you can get new skills, and also you can work on future projects, rethinking the urban manufacturing of the future. And this goes in the direction of creating a more circular economy where cities produce what they need, and there is renewable energy, and you recycle plastic, and you recycle material, and you can do that locally. So we are creating productive cities that produce locally, but also then they can spread globally. We are, of course, as many other cities, doing lots of 5G trials. So at the moment in Barcelona, you have 3 districts where you have 5G deployment. And what we want to make sure is that 5G can serve, the needs of SMEs or citizens. So we are lining up, use cases in healthcare. We presented at the last Mobile World Congress the first connected ambulance that goes on 5G, so that doctors can do remote operation connected through the 5G network. And we are trying to do a lot of tests where we open up a 5G platform, which is called 5G Barcelona, so that also small companies can participate and can try and start testing the new technology. And Europe obviously is lagging a bit behind on 5G, but we have to push this forward, and cities are the place where 5G technologies will be deployed and is deployed at the moment. So how can you do successfully all these kind of projects, creating a real innovation ecosystem that serve the citizens in a city? So our secret is to create a hub. So Barcelona is a digital hub. Of course, many of you come for the Mobile World Congress that we have every February in Barcelona, where we have the tech industry coming to Barcelona. We also have a Smart City Expo. We have a Mobile World Capital, which is an institution that helps us to develop all these projects. But the most importantly is how we partner the city organization with research centers, universities, SMEs, business schools, big companies, and we can move together towards one direction. And I think mobilizing bottom-up this tech talent and being able to innovate is one of the things that cities are doing very well, and one of the things that we're trying to do in Barcelona. I just want to mention before I finish that it's very important also to invest, of course, in education and empower people, because otherwise the digital revolution will be a privilege for the few that can afford it, but not a right for the many. And we cannot get people involved into developing this kind of project. So we're trying to do a lot of education, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in school curricula, so that people can learn. We open up 4 fab labs that are now working with schools, so that very young kids can learn these digital skills very earlier on. And we want to develop these in every neighborhood so that we have digital inclusion. Together with this, now you mentioned fintech at the beginning, governments are doing lots of experimental work when it comes to cryptocurrency or digital currency. And Barcelona, much before Libra, the Facebook digital currency, started with the implementation of a digital currency that now can be used in different neighborhoods in Barcelona to boost local commerce. And of course, we cannot not mention that we need to make sure that this digital revolution will be feminist. So we need more women in tech. We need to empower women in tech. How was the first slide? Well, this year you have more women, but obviously if you look at the statistics, we have only 30% of women in IT research in Europe. We have 20% of women in IT careers. From university to the industry, we are really not there in making sure that the 50% of this world population, women, are going to be driving the development of the future society. So we need to make more work to empower women in tech, and also to make visible the female talent in the city. And that's we're doing a lot of things with governments and companies to make sure that we reduce the gender digital gap. So let me really conclude by saying that why I think that it's very exciting what is happening in digital in cities, and why cities are going to be driving this development in the future is not only because of urbanization and because cities are close to citizens and they understand better their needs, but it's because cities are able to work in partnership and in networks. And I'm chairing a City CIOs Council, so it's a council globally of cities' chief innovation officers, and cities are really working as an alliance, building bridges among cities, building bridges with technology startups, with innovators, with universities. This is the Barcelona Supercomputing Center. It now has received from the European Commission the fastest supercomputing in Europe, exascale computing, where we're experimenting with quantum and so on. So it's very important that this talent gets linked to the city, and we can work again to target our pressing global social challenges, from affordable housing to energy transition to climate change, together, using technology for good. And one really final project, if you're interested in what cities are doing, I launched a coalition together with New York Cities and Amsterdam, which is called Cities Alliance for Digital Rights. And now it's backed by the UN Habitat, and there are over 45 cities that joined this coalition globally, also in Latin America, Asia. And this is an important statement for cities, that we start rights first. We put the digital rights of citizens, security, privacy, ethics, data sovereignty, digital skills, digital education. We put this first, and then we build a people-centric digital society that has people at the very core. And I think we are trying to give our example on how you can achieve this together in cities, and then make diversity, participatory democracy, and inclusion the real digital standards of our society. And hopefully, like Europe and nation state, will learn from what cities are doing and from what Barcelona is doing, and try to really propose this kind of people-centric vision for the digital age that we so much need. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope this was an inspiring story, and I hope in the future we'll see much more also cities from Switzerland to join this coalition, and you can check the Cities for Digital Rights coalition online. Thank you. Oh.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Francesca. That was a truly inspiring talk. Somehow I love technology topics. This thing of like thinking from the people of Barcelona first, and to think from this scope and angle, I think that's exactly what we also try to do, and therefore I found this and many other angles extremely inspiring. Of course, we would like to equip you with our socks and our infamous hoodie and a set of chocolate.
Great, thank you so much. Fantastic.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So now we have a short break. At 10:10, we're going to have our next talks at the 4 different stages of Tamedia TX. I wish you a great day, and thanks a lot for joining Tamedia TX.
Super Sache. Funktioniert.
You need
You can give me the sign when we're starting.
2 minutes.
Okay.
Wie lange hast du? 4 Stunden? Soll ich dir irgendwie noch schnell ein Zeichen geben, so kurz voran, dass du weißt, wie du vor Minuten voran. Ready? Everyone, please keep standing or sit down or how you feeling comfortable. We have our next talk. It's going to be very interesting. We're going to learn how joint ventures are a lot like TV reality shows. Why the drama? And Isa Steiner from Car4You is going to present to you. And Car4You is actually the joint venture of Tamedia and AXA. So.
That's correct. Yeah, hi everybody. I'm very excited to be here. 1 year ago, I attended TX for the first time, and I'm very honored to be a speaker today. I'm the CTO of this joint venture, Car4You. We're a car listing platform or car marketplace, and the joint venture was founded by AXA and Tamedia. And actually, Harry inspired me for that talk because he made me aware a few months ago that this is my 3rd technical executive position in a joint venture in web, right? So maybe I'm the tech woman with most experience as a CTO in joint ventures in Switzerland, at least. That's something, right? So, yeah. Actually, if some of you don't know what a joint venture is, don't feel bad. It's not that important to know, but actually here's the Wikipedia definition. Like, it's usually created by 2, sometimes by more big corporates who want to share risks, but also the revenues, and who just want to run a new business, a new market together. And if you now think like car listing, wait a minute, like it's really a new market. I really hope that 1 year from now, somebody from Car4You will stand here and tell you what our new market is. So far, it's just car listings. So that's a nice definition by Wikipedia, but actually my own learning is how I know I'm in a joint venture is if I'm sitting at work in a meeting room, a random day, and I suddenly become aware that this is much more like TV reality show or some casting show on TV than it feels like work, right? There's like, I don't know, I feel like, where are the cameras? Are these like maybe, I don't know, actors who were sent in to make me explode or what? And I'm not saying that I'm better, right? I would be the perfect candidate for a TV show because you can make me explode in no time, right? So everything I'm telling you today, I'm not saying everybody else is bad and I'm good. We're all in the same boat, right? I am a huge drama queen. So I started thinking like, this is now the 3rd time that this happens to me in a joint venture. And I was like, why is it? And of course, the biggest correlation, you don't have to be like a genius to find that out, is me, right? I was there 3 times, drama 3 times. It could be me, right? And I gave it a little thought. And I thought it's exaggerated because like, I can convince people to do stuff, but if I would be that powerful to turn hundreds of people in joint ventures into mad drama queens, I would have a lot of power and I should be a politician or maybe a dictator, right? So I thought, like, let's give it another thought. And then actually, Melanie, who's also here today, helped me figure out why else it could be, right? Maybe it's also me. I don't say it's not me, right? But let's give it another approach. And I'd like to take you on a journey with me. So imagine yourself among close friends or family where you truly feel good. You can be yourself. You don't even have to perform. People just love you for your personality. They like you for who you are. You're in your comfort zone, right? And I know most of you here, or at least 1/3 of you maybe worked with me, and they will recognize that these are mostly work pictures. Don't tell anyone. I don't have that many friends outside work. Like it's, yeah. So the only picture that is really like not from work is the one with the heart on it. But yeah, let's pretend like these were friendships that I founded in school or whatever, how other Swiss people do it. And you feel really good around them, right? You can really be yourself. And now let's take it a step further, right? How you feel at work. And I hope
for most of you, it's really similar, right? You like to come to work, you like to see those people, you want to see them smile, and you want to be the reason they smile, and also they make you smile. And most of the time, maybe it's a little bit more structured and focused than at home, but it should feel similar, and you should be really happy if it feels similar, because that's actually the goal. And then let's take another extreme, right? Like, which is for me really reality shows. Like when I zap around, sometimes I zap in, and I don't know all of these in these pictures, but I know some TV reality shows on MTV, for example, and I mean, they are designed to create drama, right? That's how they make money. They know how to pick their characters, and they know the ingredients of what makes big drama every 5 minutes around nothing, right? Who put the empty milk bottle back in the fridge? Boo, drama. Who left the patio door open? Like, every little thing can turn into a drama. Would that happen at home or with your friends? Probably not, right? Or I don't know about your friends, but for sure doesn't happen with my friends, right? So if we look at these three environments on a scale, I think like what changes from like when you're at home, you can be vulnerable, you can admit mistakes, you can even like take risks because you trust the other parties, right? When you're at work, I hope for most of you, it's really the same thing, because it's maybe people who you've worked with like for a long time, right? It feels really good. And then if we take it to the extreme in a TV reality show where people are just like randomly, or maybe not randomly, right? But they're selected and mixed together in a room so they can provoke each other. Like, that would be the extreme. And I'm not saying we're that, right? Bear with me. So I gave it some thought, together with Melanie and together with other people, right? What's the common theme, which is not me, but another common theme to what happens here? And I found out that the solution was already inside me, because I knew that actually Google in 2015, they concluded a study after analyzing more than 180 teams and their attributes, because Google really wanted to find out what is the key ingredient of a well-performing team? Because as Raphael said, right, tens of thousands of employees, you need to pick the right ones, right? And they did that analysis, and they found out, like, from the top of the list, like, it was, like, for sure it was impact of work, it was their meaning of work, do they see a purpose, it was structure and clarity, it was dependability, but by far, they write in that study, by far the most important thing was psychological safety. So what psychological safety is if team members can take risks without feeling insecure or embarrassed, right? So if they really feel that they are like a little bit like a group of friends, I would say, and also dependability goes in that direction. So Google was pretty surprised, because at Google, like the initial thought was maybe that it had something to do with skills, right? So how the study was set up is like they wanted to see which skills, like the notion was like you can maybe throw the five most genius PhDs in a room and you will have awesomeness, right? And what they found out, like it's really basic things, like it's about people, basically. And now if you think like, yeah, that sounds great, and how can we build such a team, right? How can we force a team, or not, yeah, you can never force them, right? But how can we create an environment where psychological safety happens? So I'm gonna go into that a little bit later. Let's first see, like, look at joint ventures and how they recruit people, right? So joint venture is usually started, like ours was maybe started 2 years back, and then both companies who come together, or 3 companies, they have a big plan. They do slide decks. They invite McKinsey or Boston Consulting or others to just think about, like, what is the business, right? Like, where does the money come from? And they have a lot of details, right? I think how I will split up my OPEX next year, it was decided 3 years ago, right? They really got the details right. So they thought a lot about that. But then when it comes to recruiting, right, it's like a jury on a casting show, right? It's like talented people who are the jury. It would be like the board, right? The board of directors. They are really smart. They have huge track records. They are very good individual contributors. They usually don't work together as a team, maybe, but they come together once in a while, and then they take important decisions. And it's like, for example, in pop stars, right, you would have like a rapper, and maybe you have a jazz guy, and you have this pop guy, and they're all picking their favorite talents. And in the end, they throw them in a room, and they tell them to play rock. Will it work? I don't know, like usually when I watch these shows, it results in drama. And the same thing happens with joint ventures, right? So like there's a new group recruited from scratch, fast recruiting, you throw them in a room, you want them to perform, and it's actually a little bit difficult, right? So we're not fighting over milk bottles that are put back to the fridge empty, but it's work-related, but it's maybe on the same level, right? And again, not saying that I'm not a drama queen. So let's see at team dynamics quickly, like what happens when a team is formed, right? And I'm sure that most of you are aware of this. Team comes together, so they form a team, and then they start storming. Like storming means like they all express their mindset, they express their vision, their way of working, and then if everything goes well, they start to norm, right? So all these visions and mindsets, they converge towards a point where there's a common understanding in a team. How do we work? And then they start performing, right? And what sometimes happens in environments like joint ventures, right? Like I call it the drama cycle. So you form, you start expressing like your mindsets. You find out that they are so far apart that you cannot get on a common ground. So some people might leave because they don't like it. You get new people and you form again. And you storm again. And again, you maybe find out like, oh no, it still doesn't work, right? And you can do that over and over and over again until the investors run out of money or, yeah, everybody else quits. So that's the team dynamics. And if we look again at our picture from the start, right, where you feel at home, you can be vulnerable, where in reality TV you cannot trust anyone, not take risks. I think if you start your own company, right, it would be more like a homegrown thing. So you would involve friends, you would involve people who you trust, right, and then you organically grow, right. You would never ever hire, like I hired 60 people in tech in Syrup within 1.5 years, right? That's insane. You wouldn't do that if it was your startup, right? So you would really organically grow and then go into these norming phases. And then when somebody new comes, the culture is really clear and established. And you can also explain what the culture is. Now, if you look at a joint venture, I think it's more towards like the right side of the spectrum, right? Because people didn't organically grow. They didn't know each other before. For example, our CEO, he was the last person hired almost, right? So he couldn't, like he was there, but he didn't sign as a CEO, and there were other CEOs in the race. So when I signed, I had no idea who's going to be the CEO, right? And that was true for a lot of people. So I'm really happy now with him, and I really like, he's really great because he believes a lot in culture, like I do. But it was basically pure luck that I ended up with a CEO that I share a common mindset with, right? So now let's see a little bit like how would you know that you're in a psychological safe place, right? Like for sure, if you don't think every day that this is maybe a reality show and people are just here to trick you in to say things they can show later on TV, I think that would be a bad sign. But maybe the subtle things would be if there is finger pointing instead of collaboration, right? That's like usually not that a good sign. If there is respectful honesty instead of escalation, right? And also constructive conflict resolution instead of like daily escalation, that would be a good thing. Also transparency instead of hidden agendas, right? If people really share what they want to do and why they want to do it. Also after work activities, like instead of just like workaholicalism, right, where you stay at the office and everybody has to prove that they are the most hardest working people, right? Like go out on a beer and see if you can go together as friends. And then also, being yourself is okay. I know that Google for a long time had that notion of like bring your whole self to work, and you can even read that on the internet, otherwise I was not allowed to say it. But Google decided while I was there that they changed that in, I don't know how they were calling it. It was no more bring your whole self out to work, but something similar that was a little bit toned down, right? Because it's maybe not okay to walk around in the office in boxer shorts and really feel at home, right? So there are some boundaries, like otherwise you end up in the reality drama as well, right? So I think if you don't feel every day that you're in a reality show, that's I would say, a good sign. So first of all, if you think now that I'm feeling miserably every day, all day, that's not the case. And I want to express that by thanking the whole team at Car for You now. So there's a lot of background noise. Nobody will say anything. I just let you watch it. It's not long. So the debugging has started. So I really want to thank you to my team, because I truly, every day I come there, it really feels like friends, right? These are people I would hang around with like every weekend. I don't know if they would like that. I mean, sometimes we do. I don't know if all of them would like that, but I really like to work there, right? And I think it feels like we're a pretty big team, and it feels like a culture is forming, right? And I really feel at home. And I also I really like that in our company values, we now have like some awards even for them, right? So for this, there's the Kai Award. Kai is our head of HR, and there is an award, for example, to be transparent and trustful, right? And this goes in that psychological safety topic. So people who show this behavior, they are rewarded, and then we hope that over time a culture forms. And I think from all these pictures you've seen in the beginning, a lot of them were taken in joint ventures at work, right? And a lot of people who are here, maybe not a lot, but maybe like 10-ish, they worked at Local, also a joint venture, and we also had a great time, right? I think there is always some peer groups. I think the groups themselves, they can still have a great time, but overall, I think it just takes an awful long time until you can start performing. And I really think if you ever are involved in a joint venture creation, please put the same love and the same amount of money in the hiring plan and in the values of that company. So from the start, you can hire the right people, and they come and they really feel energized, right? Instead of following that reality TV pattern where you just put very different characters who for sure will clash in a room and want them to perform. So yeah, that's it. On time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we have a 10-minute break, and the next speech is from Tutti.
Yes.
.ch.
Ist gerade eine Punktlandung. Yay!
No.
Okay, everyone. Now, next speech from not from Ricardo, but from tutti.ch. Please welcome Samantha and Alexandra.
Hello, wow, hello everybody, and welcome to our case study, how to connect with the new generation of users on mobile. My name is Alexandra, and I'm here today with Samantha, and together we want to show you how Tutti is driving more app users and how we engage with them. So when we talk about the new generation, we talk about the new focus audience for Tutti, the millennials. I think a lot of people here are also millennials. I am a millennial, and marketeers know them as Generation Y. Born between the 80s and the mid-90s, as kids of the baby boomers, they love deal hunting. I, for example, love online shopping. The millennials demand or like a sustainable lifestyle. They are eco-friendly, and they will delete an app if its icon is ugly, but I will come back to that later. And why is this so cool? Because we can really show them used goods as an alternative. And we're Tutti. We're one of the biggest online marketplaces here in Switzerland. We're common for second-hand goods, and more than 50% of our traffic is in the apps. So more than 75% of the visits are in the apps. And the apps are the biggest driver for us. Why? Because we think the app users are more engaged, they're stickier, and we want to have more app users. Tutti, we have more than 1.8 million live ads on Tutti and more than 175 active daily app users. But that was not always the case. Back in 2017, we had an app usage issue. We had fewer downloads, less engagement, and we knew, okay, we have to change the game, we have to really get active. We started a project group, so how can we really get the app game running again? What did we do? There are different marketing activities, but I think the buzzword here is App Store optimization. It's very important to increase the visibility and the conversion rate and to get more traffic on the App Store page. A study from App Annie showed that 65% of the downloads came from organic search, and this is very important. So what did we do? Actually, we did an assessment for iOS and Google, and we checked, okay, what are the relevant keywords which we want to show up? What are the competitors doing? What are the best practices right now in the market? And so forth. We also checked on our icon, as I mentioned before, the title, review, ratings, short and long descriptions. You see on the left screen an older screenshot and preview, and on the right a new one. So we improved that. And we also had to change our rating game because we had very bad ratings. And then with App Figures or App Follow, we really managed to improve that. And now I think we're at the 4.6, which is great. So those are the possibilities you have on iOS, but also on Google Play. Right now we're running store listing experiments to see if we can really get better performance with the icons. So we're testing A/B/C testing icons right now, but it's a bit too early to say something. But as I mentioned before, it's very important to always improve, always experiment, and so forth. Those are the non-paid activities, but of course you can also do paid user acquisition. I think a lot of marketeers know these common channels. We do universal app campaigns on Google, Facebook, and Apple Search. Here it's very important to mention that Google always wants as much money as possible, so we really have to think, okay, how can we spend the money the best? And we're tracking those installs with AppsFlyer. This is a great mobile measurement partner. You only need to implement the AppsFlyer SDK, and then you have all the data in the dashboard. You see then, okay, how many downloads did I have? How is the retention? What events drove me which campaign, which for marketeers is very important. And then you can really say, okay, how can I shift my budget and how can I really like optimize all my campaigns? And right now we have a budget split from 60% for Google Universal App campaigns and 20 for Facebook and 19 for Apple Search. So, and this is like more the paid user acquisition funnel, and now I'm handing over to Samantha and she will tell you more about the retention.
So, as Alexandra mentioned already, we have more traffic in the apps than on web. One of the reasons, of course, is the higher retention. So, if you take a look on the week 5 retention rate, on web we have 2.2, and on the apps we have 24.2. Of course, some of you now say that some of our users will surf on their computer at home, then in the office, and so on. But our data seems to see that it's not like that. So our users surf on one device, not on multiple ones. Of course, we have still the issue that you can delete your cookies or surf in a private Safari, but the difference is still huge. So we can see that the retention is much, much higher in the apps. That was one of the reasons why we decided to try to shift our web users to the app. And for that, we have done a smart app banner on our mobile website. So here you can see our testing we have done. We tested 5 different versions of it. The copy was the same, but the sizes and the colors were different. So we had white ones, red ones, blue ones, bigger and smaller ones. So now let us bet. Which one do you think will drive the most app installs? You can just raise your hand. So who thinks that the white one will win in the end? Okay. And the small red one? Great. The bigger red one? Oh, okay. The small blue one? Okay. And last but not least, the big blue one. So I think the most of you think the big red one will win. We have done the same within Tutti, and the most of us were thinking that one of the blue ones will win. And in the end, surprise, the small white one won. So, and we had much more app installed through the white one, which is a surprise because it doesn't seem to be really catchy or something. But still, 1 year after our testing, we have 20% of all app installs coming through this small white banner, which is an amazing number. So a small change can make a huge difference in the end. But then we have our users on the app. But then we should try to engage with them. And the best channel to do so is, of course, push notifications, as the most marketeers here knows already. So we started doing some testing. One of the first testing was that we have done really general push notification to drive more item insertions on Tutti. You can see here the weather report for tutti.ch. The best days are the rainy days, of course, because then you have time to do ad insertions. But you can see here, if we take a look, the numbers of the control group versus the test group. So the control group didn't get a push notification. The numbers were better for the control group, which is not that cool, of course. Also, we didn't have a lot of conversions, so item insertions. On a short term, but we see that the daily active users were higher than normally, but nope, didn't work for us. So we have done other testings, and one which is really working for us is event-based push notification for buyers. So if you have maybe took a look on Tutti for buying a car or a house yesterday, and today you will receive a push notification telling you that we have already 10,000 new cars on Tutti, so you come back. Or you searched for a job last week, and today is Sunday evening, you're not that motivated to go back to work tomorrow. Of course, you're searching for a new one. And then you get a push notification telling you that we have already new job postings on Tutti. So the conversion rate, so the more ad replies that the user have done is 3% more than the control group, so great. And also the retention rate were on a long term much higher than the control group. And still we had more daily active users with the push notification. So yes, it's working for us. Now to the conclusion. You have seen that we have tested different channels. On the acquisition side, we have tested the non-paid channels like ASO, but also paid ones like Google, Facebook, and Apple. On the retention side, then we have tested the smart app banners to shift web users to the app and engage with them through push notifications. Now we have 5 tips for you. The first one is a really important one. You have to find the perfect colors, style, words, etc. to engage and talk to your target group. So like in ASO, you have to find the perfect icon so that they don't delete the app again. Then you have, of course, to find the perfect mix between acquisition and retention. You can't do one without the other, because you can acquire new users, but then of course you have to engage with them. In the end, we want to have conversions. And you have also to find the perfect mix within the channel. So like for the paid app install campaigns, you have to split the budget in the right way so that you can see that, or save money in the end and see more app installs. Then, of course, you should experiment and test as much as possible, as usual in marketing, of course. But we saw that, for example, with push notifications, that it didn't work for sellers, but it worked for buyers and on an event-based track. Then you should not always trust your own opinion. We saw with the small white banner, no one was thinking that it will perform, but in the end it was performing much better than the rest. And last but not least, start to do something, because you can't see result if you don't start to do something. And we want to connect with the new generation, so start it today. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Alexandra and Samantha. Are there still any questions? Otherwise, now, next up is lunch break. So everyone can have either here a lunch break, show your badge, or you can go outside. We start again at 2 o'clock.